Welcome to the Indie Horror Junkie podcast. Tonight, you will be joining Rotting Ricky and Asylum Amy as they play host to some of the true movers and shakers in the indie horror scene. So lock your doors, check under the bed, and get comfortable, because here we go.
And I'm Sylvia Saska, and we're the Saska Sisters. And this is Indie Horror Junkie! Indie Horror Junkie!
Indie Horror Junkie!
Indie Horror Junkie!
Indie Horror Junkie!
Indie Horror Junkie!
Indie Horror Junkie!
Indie Horror Junkie!
We're a panic attack!
Indie Horror Junkie!
Woo! Indie Horror Junkie!
Indie Horror Junkie! Indie Horror Junkie!
Good evening, junkies.
Good evening, Junkie.
Episode number 71, you guys. And guess what week it is? Megacon week. So we're here already. Rick will be joining me tomorrow. I'm out here at Universal loading all of our stuff in. We're going to be setting up tomorrow at Megacon. We will be there the 6th, 7th, and 8th, and we're going to get into all of that. But we've got 3 days of indie horror short films and feature films playing at our Indie Horror Junkie Film Festival held at Megacon Orlando at the Orange County Convention Center. We have lots of guests. We have lots of exciting screenings that we're showing in addition to the films that were selected into the festival. So definitely come out. If you have a ticket to Megacon, that automatically gets you into the film festival. There's not an additional ticket. But we have Friday. We have The Fetus that we're showing by Joe Lamb. That also stars Lauren Levera. You know and love her from the Terrifier franchise. And then we also have some other special guests coming in, the cast and crew from Mutilator 2. So we love the original Mutilator, the 1984 indie horror slasher. And here we are 40 years later with the writer, director, producer, Buddy Cooper, some of the original cast, and some new members as well. So we're definitely excited to have them. And on Saturday, our screenings will be The Inn, which is a locally Central Florida produced indie horror slasher from the Greasy Boys. They're going to be there along with the Sandman himself. So definitely come and check that out. And on Saturday evening, we have a very special fan screening of the upcoming Screamboat film. And these are our guests tonight, you guys. So we're going to be bringing them on here in a few minutes after we go through the rest of this house cleaning. But we've definitely have a lot of excitement building up around this. That's going to be Saturday. They're going to have a panel Q&A following their film. So come out. It's once in a lifetime. You guys can come out and see this before it hits theaters in April. So we're super, super excited for all of these films, all 25 of the film selections and our features. So thank you guys so much for submitting. And as soon as we get back from MegaCon, we're going to be launching next year's film festival. So stay tuned for that. Of Screamboat, issue number 14 of the Indie Horror Junkie magazine. We have an incredible cover with them with a nice featured article inside. Going to give you some sneak peek behind the scenes of David Howard Thornton getting murderous mouse ready with all of the practical special of fake up and prosthetics. I can't wait to ask him questions about that tonight because he looks incredible in this film. Sunday, Joe Castro. He's going to be at the film festival the entire weekend, but on Sunday, he will be doing a live special effects makeup demonstration. We love Joe. He's been working in the industry for 20 years, all of his projects, anything his name's attached to, you know, is going to be incredible because he is just so insanely talented. So we're also going to be presenting him with a Lifetime Achievement Award, which we're really honored and humbled to do. Joe's a good friend to us. He's a great supporter of indie horror, and he's just given so much to the indie horror filmmaking community. So we're thrilled to honor him. What else we got? We have Indie Horror Junkie Film Festival t-shirts, you guys. Come and get your merch.
Oh, yeah.
Limited run of these, $35. So swing by, definitely grab a shirt. And while you're at the booth, grab Blu-ray, The Clock. This is one of our films that was released through Bayview Entertainment. You're going to see a lot of familiar faces in here. Just a fun little supernatural horror film. And again, we have a limited number of these at the booth, so definitely swing by, come see Screamboat, Mutilator, The End, The Fetus. Everybody's going to be hanging out outside of the theater. The theater is huge, guys. We have 350 seats in this thing, so we definitely upped it from last year. We're going to have an incredible turnout, and we just can't wait to see everyone and check out these movies. It's just an entire weekend of indie horror films and indie horror community, and then you have all of Megacon to explore, which you'll need all 3 to 4 days to get through all of it. It's huge. But right now, what do you say if we go ahead and play the Screamboat trailer? Then we're going to be bringing on our guest. We have David Howard Thornton himself, who plays Screamboat Willie, the murderous mouse. We have Stephen Lamorte, who's writer, director, and producer of this project. And we have Amy Schumacher, who is also a producer and one of the lead actresses in this film. So let's check out the trailer, you guys.
Here we go. Bear with me. Technical difficulties. What a beautiful thing with a live broadcast here. Let's see what's going on here. Let me try and remove this and bring it right back, and I'll be right back with you. And then I will fix this, and we will show it before they leave. How about that?
So that's okay, you guys. We don't need a trailer. Let's just jump into this.
No, we're going to show a trailer. We're going to show a trailer.
There's lots to talk about. We can do it later on. But welcome, Amy. Welcome, Stephen. It looks like we lost David, but he can hop back on whenever he's ready.
Oh, nope,
but we
just coming. I don't know what is going on.
Hi.
Sorry,
There he is. Hi.
We're having all kinds of fun technical difficulties tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay, technology.
But anyways, welcome to the show. Thank you guys so much for coming. If you are anywhere in the indie horror community and you keep up with films, everyone's talking about Screamboat. We're so excited. The whole concept behind it, what you guys did. We just want to dive right into it. Let's start with you, Amy and Stephen. Stephen, you're the creator of this. Just tell everybody who's listening what this project is about.
Sure. So Screamboat is a horror comedy take on Steamboat Willie, which is the 1920s original iteration of Mickey Mouse. And so this idea is that on a late night ferry ride in New York City on the Staten Island ferry, a tiny murderous mouse is released, that's Screamboat Willie, who runs around attacking the tourists, the cops, all the folks that are on the boat on a late night ride. And they have to survive the evening and survive Screamboat Willie. A murderous, miniature, mischievous mouse with a taste for tourists. Played by none other than David Howard Thornton.
The movie's filled with all kinds of lore and Disney references and really is a nod to Steamboat Willie and Disney.
I love that because it's such a classic and it's so loved. So for you guys to kind of bring it back to life in this really cool way, I think everyone just, they want to see more of it. David, I want to talk about your whole getup. The costume, the makeup, the prosthetics. When I saw those first images, it reminded me of Jim Carrey with the Grinch and all that he went through with that. So can we just jump into that whole makeup process for you, how long it took, how it felt, how heavy it was?
Yeah, that was a lot. But yeah, it was about I would say about a 3 to 4 hour process of getting me into the whole get up. I would say it was interesting. It was very interesting because everything was. There's no bit of my actual real face exposed or any part of my body exposed in that whole entire costume or makeup. So I was covered head to toe in fur. So, and we filmed my part in I think July or June. So it was really, really hot. So,
of course, right?
Yeah. It was. What was that?
I said, of course, right?
Of course. Of course. That's just how it always goes. I had cooling vests on. I would go through like 4 or 5 of those, I think, a day because I was sweating so much. It would just turn to slush. But it was still fun though. I had a great makeup team behind me and fun design. And Margaret Prentice did my makeup on set, and she's got 40 plus years of makeup experience. So that was just fun working with her the whole entire time, hearing all of her stories about the industry, all these other films she's worked on. So that's how I spent most of my time in the chair with her. I was like, Margaret, just tell me stories.
I love that.
And the fun thing about David's makeup is that both the large scale David suit and the sort of puppet body double that we use to make him look small in the film are both based around a life cast that we already had of David from another film that he may or may not be the star of. So it's really funny. One of the awesome things about working with great collaborators and all these makeup artists and different producing partners that all know each other. At the time, David was living in New York and we're filming in New York, but the suit and everything was built in Los Angeles. So they were able to make a call up the street. Hey, do you still have David's head? Can you send it over? So we walk into the studio and they've got David's face on a mannequin and they're building these giant ears. And we're like, yep, that's David. So there really, truly is only one Screamboat Willie, and it's David because it was built around his actual face.
I mean,
the cool thing about the makeup that David is so brilliant and such a talented performer is that he was able to make the makeup move and the prosthetics move. So it doesn't feel like a mask. It has life and character, and you can see him, practicing getting the prosthetic nose. And, it's almost, it was so lifelike because he was able to make it, function also.
Yeah, I was actually able to figure out a way to make the nose actually twitch at times too. Just how I would breathe and it would make the nose move, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And we took advantage of that a few times in the film.
It's funny sometimes when you're trying to design something or come up with ideas. Oh, can we make how is he going to be able to move his hands, or is he going to be able to dance? These are all big parts of the movie. He has to be able to whistle, right? That's how the creature communicates. So, designing it was critical, not just how does he look, but can he function? Can he perform? You don't get David in a suit like that to make him a statue. You want to make him be able to move. And the team at Quantum did such a great job making something that David could really work with. And you see some of these crazy, big, elaborate mechanical builds. I mean, they've built dinosaurs, working dinosaurs. They built the Rancor for Boba Fett. They know how to build some big, crazy robotic things, but we're still an independent film. So we're like, hey, can we do it with makeup and see what David can do? And they're like, okay, we can make a dancing puppet, or maybe we'll put David in clown shoes and have him do it. And it's worked out perfectly. And it's so fun because it's the creature is alive. It has a soul because it's really him and he's really doing it. And it's just a blast to watch.
Now, Steven, did you have a creative part in what this character was going to look like? Did you already see it and then relay that to all the artists who were creating his face and his body? And how did that work out? Were you heading that? Did the team of artists kind of head it and then you just really supervised? What was that whole process like? Because it's such a huge aspect of the film, and as the writer and the director, I could imagine you just wanting to get your hands in there and have so much input.
Definitely. I mean, it's a real collaboration, not just with the the creature designer, Christian Cordella, he's some of the sketches he did, Top Gun Maverick. He designed Black Panther outfits, and that's all he does is design these amazing creatures. And he's like, we're going to get to do Steamboat Willie. That sounds fantastic. So we started working with him, and then, but he designs things not only with the execution in mind, but also his motivation. Is he supposed to be clawing or biting? Well, then he has to have teeth that bite. The script says he's going to do this. His backstory is that. I mean, there were points where the concept artist was asking me questions about Willie's backstory that we ended up working into the movie because he forced us to ask these questions. Mm-hmm. Then we go over to a different Christian Beckman at Quantum Creations Effects, and we start talking about bringing it to life. So Christian Cordella, as a designer, knows what materials we're going to use, what stitching we're going to use. He doesn't just draw it and say, you figure it out. He comes with us to the studio, and we look at swatches together. We look at, here's a stitching pattern I like. Here's, a lot of my references were dogs and mouse, and not just animals, but real world things. And then from there, working backwards to, okay, but how do we cartoonify him? Because there are some early iterations we made that were sculpted that looked like a theme park mascot. And some people are like, oh, how come he doesn't look like a theme park mascot? And it's like, well, we know what that looks like. If he's a mouse, our references should be mice, not just the cartoon. And so it was really cool working with all these different departments and, choosing the fur. They're like, well, this is dirty fur. This is matted fur, choosing the teeth, choosing the eyes, choosing the hair. I mean, we really got to design this thing from the ground up, and it let us really put our stamp on this creature. It's definitely Steamboat Willie, but it's also definitely something, it's all us. And that's amazing. Nothing off the shelf. It's all custom, and it's badass.
How long did it take to create all of this?
Well, we shot with David in July, and we started working on this as soon as he went into the public domain, and not a minute sooner.
I think we started the design conversations in about February. Mm-hmm. And working through it. And to Stephen's point, some of the conversation was, well, if he's dirty, where did he get dirty? Mm. And if he's been in hibernation or released or wherever he came from, how much wear and tear would be on him? We had it really built the backstory of why he was the way that he was.
Very cool.
So it's definitely, almost 2 years of R&D went into it, because we were still fine tuning the design of the creature right up until we had to start shooting with the puppet, because, they bring you, I got to look at the little feet. We got to look at the little hands. We got to look at the large hands. I have these amazing photos that we'll release someday of little David and big David next to each other, and, trying to get them to match and trying to get the proportions to be right, because the math doesn't just translate as far as what is a little hand versus a human size hand. There's a lot more math involved than you would think in making
so many details.
These different things and having them line up. But I think we pulled it off.
Yeah, that's a huge task. I mean, just outside of, making the film itself, just all those little details that you guys incorporated to make the character so authentic. I think it's really going to show. David, when you first saw this costume, what did you think about it?
I was like, oh, that's going to be hot. But I loved it, though. I absolutely loved it. I love that concept of it, because I was wondering how he was going to look. Are we going to go for the more cartoonish look? Are we going to go for a more realistic look? And I think we found a fine line between the two, because he does still have the cartoonish qualities. I mean, he has the 4 fingers on his hands. He's got the big cartoonish feet. He's got the costume from the cartoon and the hat, all that. But he's also has these realistic, features about him, especially with the face. But you also had to make that not total mouse, but also almost a human hybridization, which I thought was really cool. So I was very, very excited with that. And also when I finally got in the costume, it changed a lot of how I originally planned to walk around and everything with him, because it's a very bulky costume. And so it once I finally put that on, I really figured out how to move as the character.
And
some of the most interesting limitations I thought actually came from the fact of the suit is not real. So you would see David and, we'd try to throw him some direction, and you think he can hear you because he's got giant ears. He has, and he's also wearing these contacts. It's functional, and David was able to perform, but there were definitely limits. So we have him, in the space, and we're like, David, can you come a little closer? And he's like, what? And you just, oh, right. The ears don't work. Ears don't work. And he's got the eyes in, he's got blood on his face. He's got fake ears covering his real ears. He's standing 4 inches away from a 6-foot drop. stop. And we're like, David, I need you to run faster towards the person you're about to kill. And he's like, I'll try. And he's fumbling around. But then he call action and he just turns it on and there's no fear. Even though there probably should have been like a little bit of fear.
It's the inner kids there.
Dean Blackwater's asking, was the makeup silicone?
I believe it was foam latex, wasn't it?
I think so. Because it was the cowl was the ears and all of the design that went around his head, right, David? And then there were the pieces built to David's face that were the silicone prosthetics.
Right. Because I put on the cowl first. First Margaret put like a skull cap on me to keep my hair down and all that good stuff, and then she put the cowl on, and then she glued the prosthetic both to my face and the cowl, so it was a continuous. You didn't see any lines of like, oh, that's where the mask is and that's where the cowl is. It all blended very well together, and so once I was in that thing until the very end of the day. So it's like, oh boy, I hope I don't get anything underneath the makeup or in my eye or in my nose or something like that, where I'm just like, oh god, because it would be a whole entire process of me having to get out of all that and get back into it, which would just ruin the whole entire day. So we were very lucky in that regard, I think.
See David eat lunch in a white bodysuit and a full willy, like from shoulders to the top of the head. He's just sitting there daintily eating his food. It was like totally, and he's like, yeah, I was just shooting this music video the other day, and he just forgets because his ears. You call David and his ears flop around, and he's like, what? What is this job? This is the best.
Yeah, eating that was definitely a challenge. It seemed like everything I was eating had a bunch of sauce on it too. So I'm trying my best not to get the sauce on the prosthetic because I knew that would make things start to come unglued and all that. Every time I went back in for touch-ups, I was like, I'm so sorry, Margaret. I'm sorry. I tried my best.
How was this role for you, David, different than the characters that you've played in other films? Was it because you're in costume, with pretty much all of your projects, and you're just this hugely animated actor, which is what we love about you. You bring this energy that is only you can bring, and it's always memorable. And what would you say would be different specifically about this character compared to what we've seen you do?
Well, for one, I was actually able to make some sounds, so that was fun. I was able to actually. I don't really talk, but I make a lot, and that's one thing that happened organically on set, where I didn't even plan on making little grunts or little squeaks or like that. That it just all happened because I was like, because I didn't think of that, and it just happened in the moment. And I'm like, well, I'll just go ahead and keep making these sounds, and if the team likes it, we'll go ahead and they can always keep it in. But if not, because I realized I had a microphone on me. I'm like, oh, I have a microphone on me, so why not make some sounds? And we ended up incorporating those little into the character in a lot of ways. So that was kind of fun. And also with him communicating by whistling, that was another thing that kind of shifted a lot of the difference between other characters I've played in the past. So he's not talking, but he's doing a lot of jokes with whistles, which was really cool. But also a big difference I had was I wasn't acting with other people in the room actually physically with me. Because I had to be tiny. I wasn't full size like everybody else. So they had filmed the rest of the movie before they filmed all of my stuff. And so they would digitally project what they had filmed behind me, and I would be able to interact with what was going on because I had giant props. So I felt kind of like, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids type of thing. But that was definitely a challenge, not having actors to actually interact with. I was just having to pretend they were there and go off of that. So that was definitely a new challenge for me. But it was a lot of fun in its own way.
Yeah, no, I can see as an actor how that would be very interesting to have to go through all of basically your entire role, and you're just with the imaginary.
Oh yeah, especially fight scenes. That was a big difference for me. Is trying to do fight scenes with giant props with something that's actually not there, or they would have something else just coming in swooping in because you had to get the size right. Yeah, so that was a fun challenge. I really enjoyed it. That was one thing I was actually very excited about doing because I love practical effects, and I love like movies like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, where they built giant props for the actors to interact with, and I love that we did that old school style, because so many other studios would just do all CG. Everything would be CG, and it takes out the fun, I think, in a lot of ways from that. It's, at least for the actor.
I always loved the blade of grass that they would slide down. I was fascinated.
Yes.
I wanted to slide down
Question
that.
for you,
I
David.
know.
Any funny things
That's the
happen behind
bees.
the scenes you can talk about?
What's that?
There was a question here for you. Any funny things happen behind the scenes and you can talk about?
Oh yeah, there was Margaret and I played a prank on Steve at one
Oh my
point.
God.
Yeah,
Record show, while he's doing this, we're like 3 hours behind schedule. I'm stressed that we're going to have to change the ending of the movie because we're running out of time. And then this, I know exactly what you're going to say.
yeah. Because I had talked to Margaret about this earlier, because we were talking about food and snacks and stuff like that, and I was like milk duds, and all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, milk duds kind of look like mouse poop, like big pieces of mouse poop. Hey, I got an idea. Like, why don't we do something when Steve's giving me direction or something? He gives me something I might sound a little bit scary to me or something like that. Why don't I make it look like I just poop on set? And so he's coming up and giving me a some direction, and Margaret snuck up behind me and put the milk duds in my hand, and he's just giving me the direction, and all of a sudden just just like all these little pellets go all over the stage. Oh yeah.
It was exactly what I needed to get me through the end of the day, because I did not see her slip. And she's an amazing makeup artist, but she's very serious and focused when she's working. She's really silly, like in between the moments, but when she's shooting, like she's like a laser. I mean, the things that movies she's worked on, unbelievable. And so to come up and I'm like, okay, David, here's how we're going to do this. We have just a little bit of time. And he furrows his little brow. And I was like, oh no, did he get indigestion? Is this it? Is this the end of our day? And to see these little, they just dropped down
and they bounced all over
they bounced all over the place. And he's like, oh, and we were like, oh, I laughed. It was good.
Yeah.
It was just what we needed. We're like, okay, everybody, we're going to be all right.
Everybody grab your milk duds when you go to see this film.
That's right.
Yeah. Mary
We
says
don't know
I'll
what
never
they
look
did.
at milk duds the same way again now.
Oh no, definitely not. Definitely not. They're a bit nutty.
Did you shoot
David's point though, there were humans, many humans interacting with him, but a lot of what we did was forced perspective. So you'd have the person he's killing is 20, 30, 50, 60 feet away from him, either above him or down below. So he's so far away from the, his other, his co-stars, that, it may seem like they're not right next to each other, but that's how you get Willie, to be a third of the size of a real person. Because there were definitely plenty of moments where we have three people standing on a rickety ladder, holding an oversized prop, like trying to attack him. Like there's a big giant fake set of legs, or, a human actor covered in blood who's, again, like right up next to the camera, and then David's way the hell back, and he's like, "Is this working?" And we're like, "It looks good, David. Keep killing."
I'm like, "What?"
Say it into my good ear.
David is 6 feet tall, and Willie in the movie is 3 feet tall, because Mickey Mouse is 3 feet tall. So that math worked pretty well for us. If we had a broom, we just doubled its scale. But it meant, at one point I was standing on scaffolding, just swinging a stick toward David in the suit so that it looked like the sizing was massive. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It was pretty cool.
Look, there's every magic trick in the book. It was used to make this movie. We've got in-camera forced perspective shots, we've got puppet shots, we've got miniatures, we've got pyro, and then we've got amazing visual effects too. I'm not going to pretend like there aren't visual effects. Those folks worked really, really hard on the movie, and it kind of all just comes together to make something that is not just a love letter to Disney and to the original source material, Steamboat Willie, but it's also just a love letter to like the kinds of fun adventure horror flicks that I used to enjoy watching, where back in the day, if you had a problem, you just had to figure it out. You didn't go to a company and then they design and develop. And we had some of that too, but there's some things where like, we're an independent film. We just have to figure it out. And, it was just super fun to say, okay, what techniques are going to be sort of more classic? Like Force Perspective, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and Darby O'Gill. And then you have other effects where we're like, okay, well, the Mandalorian's using LED walls. So like, has anyone ever tried to use it to shrink somebody down, not put someone in space? And it was really cool to see, those things come together and make something that hopefully it just fits together really well. And you're not thinking about how they did it. You're just thinking, wow, that little mouse is a little a-hole.
He really is.
What do you think is, off the top of your head, the biggest challenge that you had making this film?
Ooh, Amy.
I think, and you can speak to it, the film would have been much easier to make if he had just been David's size. Shrinking him was hard, but for me, I think one of the main things was we really shot on a Staten Island ferry. And it was big and it's metal and there are so many stairs. And I think we just didn't realize the scale of an actual ferry. So there was a lot of legwork to be done in terms
literal
of
legwork.
But yes, we're shooting on the top floor, but you forget something on the bottom floor. It's not a quick thing. And we building in the time to be able to use that, or trying to use a walkie in a big metal tin, boat is not, like, walkie-talkies aren't really going to work, that sort of thing. I think there were challenges with that, but it was 100% worth it because the production value of being in this old, creepy boat was totally worth it. But it
was this thing moving and cruising when you guys were on it, or was it stationary?
A little bit of both. Most of the time, the boat was docked on Staten Island, New York. Shout out to the Shaolin. So most of the time, the ship was docked, but it's docked on the water. So if a big freight went by, the whole boat would we'd be filming and everyone would feel a lurch in their stomach. And you're like, oh, I think a freighter went by. That must be these massive shipping containers. But then we also did some pickups on the actual moving ferry as well. So we took the cast and we took, some of the crew onto the ferry. And between that and a little bit of visual trickery, we're able to make it seem like the boat is moving the whole time, at least when it's supposed to be.
Was sound a challenge in that aspect?
On the docked boat, it wasn't so much because we shot a lot of overnights because it needed to be nighttime. In that aspect, I think it was really creepy because it's an old boat on a sort of empty, boat. What is it? It's the dock area. And so it was quiet for the most part. And then when we were shooting on the actual moving ferry, I think that's where sound got more challenging.
But, the helpful thing about shooting something that exists in the real world is the fact that we have reference for everything. So when we're trying to recreate fog, or when we're trying to say, what do these announcements sound like? What kind of hum does the boat have? We have reference. We can just get on it and listen and record. And Amy and I definitely spent some nights where when we were fine tuning the script, where we would just ride the boat back and forth. And we're like, okay, it's 8:30. So we're going to go have dinner. We're going to come back at midnight because the movie takes place, well in the witching hour, well late night on a Saturday night. And we said, let's come back and we'll just ride the boat back and forth and, and just listen and see sort of what happens. And some of the crazy things that are in the movie pale in comparison to the real crazy things that we saw. Because, the boat changes from, hour to hour. In the morning, it's quiet. It's commuters. Everyone's sitting elbow to elbow, ignoring each other. During the day, it's tourists and they're heading into the city. They're taking pictures of the Statue of Liberty. But at night, it's like an amalgam of all of them. You have commuters who are coming home from work. You have, for some strange reason, commuters who are going to work. You have partiers. You have the cops who are on patrol. You have tourists who booked a hotel room on Staten Island, not realizing that they weren't in Manhattan, who were like tired from the end of the day. And they're all just jammed onto this tiny metal boat. And, the chaos that ensues from having all those people cramped in together is just a blast. So we try to capture that in the movie, but some of the stuff that we recorded and we were just like documenting going back and forth was like too preposterous for the movie. We saw people singing at one point. Mm-hmm. We saw a homeless guy singing, and then we saw some party people give him some money so he sang louder. And then as he was getting onto the boat, we thought security was going to stop him, and then they started singing with him. Actually,
and they were harmonizing, and it was really good.
It was really good. And we were like, what is happening on the Staten Island ferry at 2:00 in the morning? And we're like, yeah, that's it. So really, the mouse is more realistic than what actually happens there.
I did see someone's question of how long we shot. I think 22 days on the actual boat.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then we came back to LA and we shot 4 days.
Yeah, 4.
On the LED wall. And then we did pickup shoots that were, okay, today's shoot is just doing miniature stuff. We had a miniature ferry boat that was built and miniature versions of the stairs and all these different little pieces. And then we did an extra gore day to make sure it was, extra bloody and gooey.
It's a sticky day.
Let's talk about that. So what can we expect? What kind of level of gore is this film? Because David, we all know what you're capable of. So.
Yeah. David, what do you think?
Oh, it's pretty gory.
Yeah.
It's pretty gory. Oh yeah. There's some great bits in there, especially. So I of course I don't want to spoil anything, but there's especially one bit with a giant prosthetic that came down that I thought was hysterical. So I was like, that's just great. When they walked in with this thing, I was like, this is too funny. This is so silly and stupid, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that we approach it, and something that we he's a murder Muppet, right, is kind of like our mindset. So the idea that the way that we wanted to approach these kills, because the movie's fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a comedy. It's not serious or dour. Like it's definitely a fun flick. So it was important to us that we deliver on the gore, the in-camera kills, but also sometimes you see some of the classic slashers, and what they're doing is preposterous, right? Not just even the more magical things like werewolves or even Freddy Krueger. When he's in your dreams, he can do all kinds of crazy stuff. But I think that the fact that Willie is a cartoon character that maybe doesn't know he's real. I like to think, okay, if the Wile E. Coyote dropped an anvil on your head in the real world, it'd be gory and it would be violent and it would be crazy. So we kind of just went to lean into that, where what if a cartoon character was doing cartoonish, mischievous things, but had real world consequences? What would that look like? And so that allowed us to really lean into like the spraying of the blood and the chopping of the limbs, but not in a way of like, oh no, he's torturing that poor woman, but in a way of like, oh, that's funny. I didn't like that person anyway. Oh my God, that's a lot of blood. Oh my God, it's still going. Oh no. Oh no. And then it just I think it just gets funny from there. I mean, there was one scene we shot where we may or may not have screwed up the pressure on one of the blood gags, and there was so much blood and it kept spraying for just a little bit too long that I think it's still on the boat. We had to call in a special, we had to have a special cleaning crew dedicated
crime scene cleanup
out of this one scene. You'll know it when you see it. It was just
ceiling,
it was just
wall,
yeah,
every single thing is covered.
We felt so bad. The actor's just saturated. He is just covered in beautiful maple syrup smelling blood, and there was way more blood than I think any of us thought it was going to be. This was our first big kill of the show. And it's in his eyes. I mean, it's everywhere. And we're like, hey, man, are you okay? And he's like, he's trying to recover himself. And behind the monitor, everybody's like, we got it. It was great. Thumbs up. So it's bloody.
Yeah.
So needless to say, horror fans will be satisfied with the level of gore. You heard it here, kids. So that's always my question. I'm like, what are we gonna see here?
Yeah, I think we called it a Splatstick comedy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think there's something about some horror movies that are borderline medical in how gratuitous and specific the kills are, and we definitely want you to look away. And be sort of grossed out, but in a funny way, because I mean, it really is supposed to be fun. He really is, mischievous. It's got some heart and it's got humor and spectacle. We try to deliver on all of those things. But when we go for the kills, we go for it, and there's no mistaking it. He's a cartoon killer for sure.
Splatstick. It's a good word.
Splatstick. Or splat tire.
I like that too.
Steven, did you say the blood is like maple syrup? So
It smells like maple syrup.
Oh, well, because a lot of the blood is made with a corn syrup base, so that would make sense.
Well, it's actually not. It is actually genuinely. I think they cut. It's like their secret sauce. We get our blood from some very nefarious places, and it's easy to clean. It's easy on the skin. It washes out. But the one strange thing is because as they cut it with, I think it's real maple syrup. So anytime we have like a big crazy kill scene, it always smells like pancakes, which is like, oh, that's nice. That's swell. But then, as time goes on, because it's food, there was definitely one of the scenes where we left a blood spray for continuity. We said we were going to come back to the scene in a day or 2 days, and the blood team wasn't there. And they came back after the weekend and were like, you guys didn't clean the blood. And we were like, no, we want to make sure it matches for the next day. And they're like, you have to clean it immediately. There's food in there. And we're like, oh, whoops. Well, I guess this is how you get ants.
Yeah, exactly.
What is this guy saying? Kilroy, what was that, Rick? That comment?
Bring it back up. It's just going so quick. I have a lot of comments.
Oh, David's in the movie. They're watching. Everyone's going to be watching.
I hope so. We hope so. We're an independent film. We need all the love we can get, not just in the U.S., but all around the world. The movie's going to be everywhere. And we need people to show up and sort of show the world that independent horror matters, not just at home on streaming, but in theaters. I really think there's something so important about this next generation of creators. I mean, we're up and coming, regardless of what you may think about our credits, we are trying to make our way in this industry and sort of make the kind of movies we want to get together with a group of friends on a Friday night and go see at the theater. And the only way we're able to do that is if people come and see our films and tell their friends about it and, support in theater, because that's what proves to them that we should be in the theater and get more
And
weeks.
it's a lot of movie. There's a lot of movie here, and seeing it on the big screen, I think, is the best way to at least catch it the first time.
It's like a theme park ride.
Like a theme park ride. Yeah. There's something to be said about indie films. In my opinion, like you can spot them. If you're watching something, they have their own charm. You're like, that's not a studio film. This is indie. I'll be looking something up. Like, there's no way this is not indie. But the level of independent films that we've recently seen over the past several years that have made it into the theater, it's exciting. And so for you guys to have that chance, this is going to be a theatrical release in April, correct?
That's right.
To get this out there, I mean, this is what we love. We want to continue to see independent artists and studio represented films getting the acknowledgement that they deserve. There's so much love and passion and that goes into these films. And you're talking, people with not huge Hollywood budgets making incredible Hollywood aesthetically, pleasing films. And it's such a collaboration, and I see how you guys kind of work with a lot of the same people, and it looks like you've got a good group and everybody's got this recipe, and we're just excited to watch you. Like, there are so many eyes on what you guys are doing because you're setting the tone and you're making all of this feel tangible for other filmmakers and artists. Like, if they can do this, then I can work towards something and I have a shot too. So what you guys are doing is bigger. I think when you're so close to it and you're doing it, you're just so focused on the film, but please know that the impact that it makes to all of us is so much bigger, and it is inspiring, and it's really, really cool. And you guys are coming to Megacon, and all these people are going to get to see this before the theatrical release. And you just had a screening at Days of the Dead. Do you want to tell us about that and the response that you got? I mean, it looks like a great screening from what I can see at Days of the Dead.
Yeah,
It was fun.
It was a really fun time. We were nervous about it because it was the first audience getting to see it at all, and Megacon audience will be only the second. They'll be
the only West audience on the East Coast to have seen it, because we showed it in Vegas. So there's no one on that side of the Mississippi that's seen it yet.
And we were nervous and excited. We love the film that we made, but it's a horror comedy, and it's funny, and there's all these fun Disney references that we weren't quite sure if they'll land with a horror audience, and people seem to really, really enjoy that. And we were also nervous. David hadn't seen the movie. He was sitting next to me.
I wouldn't let him sit next to me. I was like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
And I'm like, please like it, David.
Yeah.
That's so fun that you got to watch it with your friends. You got to watch it with people that you know and just enjoy it. So
I was laughing my head off so much during it. I was like, I remember just turning to Amy at one point and just giggling. This is so silly. I love it.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of people that have been asking for this iconic whistle. Is that you, David?
It's me whistling in there. Yes.
Yeah, they're
I did my own whistling.
Whistle. I don't know if you have a downer.
Oh, well, I'll try. I don't know how it's going to come out, but it's always hard being put on the spot to whistle.
I know.
Hey,
it's hard.
You made a lot of people happy.
Yeah, we did a whole ADR session with me with the whistling one day.
I bet.
Yeah, that was because I discovered it's hard to emote with a whistle because it's hard to show anger or happiness, right? Because it's all like you have to have your mouth in a certain orientation for that sound to come out. So if you push too hard, it doesn't work. You just have to find that sweet spot. So that was an interesting day. I was like, oh gosh, I went through a lot of water that day.
And I'm like, David, can you whistle more creepy? David, can you whistle angry? And he's like, how the hell do I whistle angry?
It's such a fun little tune, a little ditty, and I think you guys are brilliant for incorporating that with your social media marketing. I know every time that we're on there, pushing out posts for the movie and promoting you guys being there, I'm always like tagging the Screamboat Willie, music into whatever the post is, and it's kind of just fun, It's just fun to listen to.
It's presented in so many ways in the movie too. Our two composers, Yael and Charles, did such a great job. You don't have an iconic theme song and just leave it on the table, right? You got to use it. Yeah. So there are parts in the movie where you can really hear it and it's prominent. And yes, I know that one. And it was played by a live orchestra, which is crazy to have a 40-piece band with strings playing the Steamboat Bill song with like this. It almost sounds like Psycho with like a Psycho twist. But then there are other parts where you can just hear just a few notes of it that, da-na-na, just like built into the score. So, people with discerning ears who know the song really well will definitely be able to catch the Steamboat Bill motif all over the movie because he's Steamboat Willie. He's not a killer inspired by Steamboat Willie. He's not wearing a mask or, he's a tiny little mouse that drives a boat. Like 100% he is Steamboat Willie. So you can't ignore that song.
That's actually something I want to comment on too that I really was happy with was the music in the film because they did have a live orchestra doing so much of the music. And I'm a musician at heart and I love the old school way of doing films where they would have a live orchestra, watch the film and they would do the music to what they're watching. And this film has that type of old school Disney music type of quality to it, which I love it. I think the music in itself adds a whole new flavor to the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I also saw a question come in about cosplayers. We definitely have already started seeing cosplayers dressing. Some, without seeing the movie, have accurately guessed Willie's injuries. And others you could tell have seen the movie or have seen some of the images.
So spot on. And so good.
Nailed it so much. Their size is a little off. They're a little too tall, but I'll give it to them. They're doing the best they can. But it's cool. We love the cosplayers and anybody that dresses in a Willie outfit gets a photo with us and a hug and a high five and maybe a Christmas card or something because we love seeing it. It's so awesome.
I think that's something that I love so much about the horror community is that there are so many artists within the horror community. And when they make their own fan art, it's incredible.
Yeah.
I love it. I really love it.
I mean, I'm sure that you've received so much, just David, people, everything that you've done, just coming and handing you their art.
Oh, yeah. I have boxes. I have like 4 or 5 boxes full of artwork that people have brought me at conventions or things that they've made. It's not just just one of the franchises I've done. It's been like every film I've done. I've even gotten some things from Screamboat already from people. Someone even made they custom made an actual Steamboat Willie stuffed animal, and they customize it to look more like Willie, but still with the cartoonish look. But he's got like the angry eyebrows, and I'm like, oh, that's great. I love it.
Maybe we'll see some Screamboat Willie at Megacon. Megacon is known for their cosplay. The cosplay people here, I mean, it's like nothing I've ever seen. I love going to horror conventions and I love seeing all the cosplayers, but the way they do it here at Megacon, it is nuts. So we'll see. Hopefully we'll.
Very excited. We only just started. I mean, we've been to horror conventions before, of course, but after the mean one, we really kind of rolled right into this. So we're still very new to horror conventions. We Days of the Dead in Vegas was our first real one since we had done the mean one. And we had such a blast. So anybody that comes and sees us, we're always like, hey, you saw the movie. That's great. This is so fun. Like, we're having such a blast. And we met so many amazing people. And we love connecting with people and talking to them about the film. And, what better place to answer questions and talk to, especially if they've seen it as they can at Megacon. What better place to connect with people and, talk to them about the stuff we love. We love watching horror movies. We love making horror movies. And the conventions are great.
Yeah, Megacon is huge.
I think.
What's that? My son asked if he can watch. My young son asked if he could watch.
I think actually, no.
A 14-year-old asked us this question just this last weekend. And I think a lot of the movie, if you're, used to watching horror and stuff like that, it's fun and it's silly. But there are a couple scenes that
are really quite explicit. Yeah, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not. No, you'll
one in particular.
One in particular.
Well,
yes.
and that other one, one related to that first one. I think. Yeah, I mean, if you don't want to have some hard conversations with your kids, I'd encourage you not to bring them. Maybe you're better off watching the trailer and picking up a doll and just, hugging Willie and just holding on for a little bit.
There you go.
It's definitely not kid friendly. It's funny, it's silly, but yeah, it's no, don't bring your kids to see this movie, please.
Yeah, you definitely have to close it and cover their eyes at times and ears.
Yeah.
David,
Someone's asking David, what's the weirdest gift someone has given you?
Oh gosh, nothing really weird per se. I've got some really cool things though. Like someone one time made a marionette puppet of Art one time, which was really cool. And I've had a lot of people I've noticed started doing crochet a lot. So I've gotten a lot of crochet versions of my characters now, which is really cool.
So cute. Now we need some crocheted Screamboat Willie.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Some will be doing it soon enough.
For you, Stephen. Amy, what's your mean movie? Looks amazing.
Oh, thank you.
For the mean one, yes.
We appreciate that. The mean one was such a, something we made that just for us, really. When we started the mean one, it really was meant to be this weird little thing, and then it got a little bit bigger, and it got a little bit bigger, but we still kind of putzed around with it on our own. Something that we thought was funny. And
David plays the mean one.
And David, of course, plays the mean one. Our favorite green grouch in the Santa suit. And it really has found an audience and people that got what we were going for. I think something about the way we do comedy is all of our comedies take themselves so seriously, and that's what makes them funny. And I think sometimes people don't realize it's a comedy and they're like, this is stupid. And we're like, yes, this is stupid. Thank you for getting the joke. So I think that people it's starting to click with them what we're going for. And, for them to be watching it and discovering it, especially after David's last Christmas horror bonanza, we're seeing a lot of people going back and watching the mean one, and they're like, oh, this is a fun time. This is a Christmas rewatch. And that's what we want to give people, right? Is a fun time at the movies, a little bit of a escapism, something you can watch with your friends and enjoy and revisit and have a smile.
And where can people stream that? Where's that streaming? The mean one?
Anywhere, really.
Okay.
You can rent it on Amazon Prime. It's on Stars. You can buy the Steelbook online or in stores. The Steelbook artwork is amazing, but it also has a documentary, 45-minute documentary included in it, and some outtakes and
commentary that we do. And the documentary is super fun because we were blogging and vlogging this crazy process from day one. So we have all of the footage of David's first makeup test. We have his first day on set. We have like, here's what the stunts look like behind the scenes. I mean, we all the way up through, we finished the movie and thought, now what? Through to, oh my God, we were in theaters. Okay, it's just going to be 1 week. Oh my goodness, we're in theaters for 5 weeks. Oh my goodness, we're in 1,000 theaters in Mexico. It's been translated to all these languages. Like the documentary really documents what happens when a few scrappy friends get together and they're like, let's just do something that no one would ever say yes to, not ask for forgiveness, not ask for permission, just ask for forgiveness, and see where it goes. And the documentary is a lot of fun. It is the same narrator as the movie too, so it's a good watch. If you like the meme one, it's a good watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check it out, you
By
guys.
chance,
Yeah.
gonna have any?
What's that, Rick?
I was going to say, are you by chance going to have any physical copies there at Megacon by chance?
Yes, I already have them set aside to bring with me to Orlando. We'll bring them. I don't have the steelbook, but I have the DVD. Yeah.
Very cool.
That's fine. As long as you put on one of them and set it aside for me, we're good.
It's all yours. It's all yours.
Yeah, the steelbook was a little hard to come by. It sold out so fast. We were like, really? And it was because it was on the shelves at Walmart and stuff, and it was. Cool. It disappeared so quickly. We were, pleasantly surprised, but it made it hard for even us to get our hands on them because when they come out, they don't send them right away to us. That's like, show you how indie we are. It's not glamorous to say, but we're like, hey, can we get a copy of this before it comes out so we can promote it? And they're like, yeah, we're working on it. We're still waiting for this. So we're like, okay, I guess we'll go to Walmart and try to buy it ourselves. And then this is like the surreal moment, the independent dream. You cannot get a hold of your own movie because it's sold out. It was a bummer for a moment. We're wearing our Mean One stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh man, we drove out here to get it. And I was like, Amy, our movie is sold out. That's pretty cool. So,
that is really cool.
It's big studios when they make their movies, and they're making different versions and different iterations. I don't want to say it doesn't mean anything to them. A lot of people work on those films. When you support independent artists, you buy one of our DVDs, it puts gas in your car or electricity in your hybrid, in David's case. It puts food in our fridge. It allows us to keep making them. So it really does mean a lot to us when people support the movie because it directly impacts us and lets us keep doing it, which is what we want to do. And I think what fans want too.
Well, we definitely want that to happen because you guys are, like I said, you're turning these out, and you guys have this magical little recipe with what you're doing here, and we love the horror comedy theme. David, we can't wait to see you, and this is going to be so fun this weekend watching this film with you guys at Megacon. David, we're going to miss you. We wish that you could be there with us. You would go nuts with Megacon. It's a big pop culture. They have everybody from anime artists to Gina Davis. Everybody is going to be there. So maybe next year, but definitely, definitely, you guys, if you're coming out to Megacon, it is not too late to get your tickets. You don't want to miss this weekend. We definitely want to see you. We want to watch these films with you and come out and meet Amy and Steven and some of the other cast that's going to be there. It's just going to be an incredible weekend. We're going to keep our eye out and hopefully see some cosplayers with Steamboat Willie dressed up, walking around. So a Screamboat. Yeah, sorry. But anything else you guys want to say before we head out of here tonight? Anything that you want to encourage people to come by and see? You're gonna have posters, I'm assuming. What kind of merch are you going to be bringing?
Yeah, we'll have posters. We've got some photos of that, first look, stickers, all of that kind of stuff. And so we'll be there, ready to say hi, talk about the movie, share any insight about it, and hope people come to the screening. And I saw someone earlier post that they're going to tell their theater that they want to see Screamboat, and yes. I absolutely love that. If people can tell their theater they want Screamboat to be in it, it will only help us and really actually move the needle for us. That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's we love going to these pre-screenings. We want to share the movie with fans, but we're really trying to get the word out about the film. Lots of people have heard about it, and that's awesome. We're so excited when people are like, "Oh yeah, I heard about that," or "Oh yeah, I heard about the other one, the one with the guy from the other movie, and he's a little mouse." I'm like, "No, that's ours. You've heard about ours." We love that people have heard about it, but what really we need is people that tell other people about it and come out on that first weekend when it comes out, because we're fighting for space in this situation, not just conceptually, but quite literally, we're fighting for space in these theaters. So, asking your theater if they're going to play it or asking them to play it and coming out to see it that first weekend, there is no guarantee that we will be in theaters for a second week. That's just the way it is with every independent film. We get sort of a limited shot to get in there and to stay. So people, have to come through that first weekend and, tell their friends to go see it and come out and ask the theater, request it if you can, to support, because that's the only way we get to a second weekend. And I've heard other filmmakers say this because people don't realize that it's only playing, like, Peter Pan just came out and that one had just a few number of days. And it just becomes a challenge when you see a thing and you want to tell your friend, "Oh, go see it next weekend," or "Oh, let's go back and see it," and it's gone. That's such a bummer. So I think, people showing up that first weekend and us helping us make a big noisy splash is the best way they can support first week of April, opening starting April 2nd. To come out. And we're going to be doing live events all over the country between now and then, as well as when the movie actually opens. We'll be doing different screenings depending on where the cast and the crew are. So all over the country, we'll be there. You can meet, come and meet us and get pictures taken and, ask us questions, and, we'll give you all the secret details once you've seen the movie. So just come out April 2nd and support the movie. And hopefully we'll see a lot of you at Megacon.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're excited for you guys. We're really happy for you and all the momentum behind this. David, everyone wants to see you in this character. So we're just kind of, holding on till it comes out. But you guys can come see it early screening this Saturday at Megacon with Amy Stephen and the Indie Horror Junkies. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight and for taking time out of your day to spread some independent horror love and just share a little bit about yourselves and a little bit about this incredible movie. We're so thankful that you could take the time to come on, and we can't wait to screen this with you this weekend.
We can't wait. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. This has been fun.
We're gonna kick you backstage, and then we'll bring you out in a minute when the show's over and say a proper goodbye.
Okay, we'll see you in Orlando.
Right.
Yeah, see you soon, guys.
Bye.
Hold on for me, guys. All right. Well, that time flew there. I mean, the moment I zipped over to the comments, I had 260 comments. Like, oh my God. So I had to whip through them.
The comments were flying in tonight.
It was crazy. So that was such a good time.
Megacon's here. Like I said, I'm already checked in. I just brought my red lights with me for the show tonight, but we're headed there tomorrow to set up, and we'll see you on Friday, Junkies.
All right. Sounds good. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you next week.